Women Entrepreneurs Series. I am Kristen Price, your host, and I'm so excited to introduce to you Miss Julie Keys. She is a dynamic, awesome entrepreneur that's come to empower you. So here's her bio, ladies. Julie Keys is the founder and owner of Key Strategies LLC in Minneapolis, Minnesota, specializing in exit and transition consulting for business owners of lower middle market companies. Julie has been an entrepreneur most of her life. As a founder and operator of several companies, she understands owner motivations and the balancing act they require to work both in and on the business. Julie is also an author, and I am excited and ecstatic to bring her to you guys. Miss Julie Keys.
Oh, well, thank you, Kristen. That was awesome. I love the enthusiasm.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie, for being a part of this series. You know, we want to empower women to be connected, to be confident, and also to just be happy in what they're doing. So, Julie, tell us, how did you get in the position to help people to exit out of their business?
Good question. Came through years of being an entrepreneur and owning several companies. I had a life change back in 2010, 11 years ago now. Got divorced, sold our businesses. So it was kind of a perfect storm of adversity, if you will. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next with everything that I'd learned as, being a business owner and having employees and different locations and things like that. And I decided that I wanted to consult and help business owners not make the same mistakes I did, especially when it came to exit. So I became certified as an exit planner in 2015 when I learned that there was such a thing. And I've been a business consultant helping owners grow and improve their business and prepare for a future transition now since then. And so that's what I do. And it's super rewarding work.
Yeah.
I think it's life changing. And the book I wrote, like you referred to, called Poised for Exit, which you can kind of see behind me here. The subtitle of Poised for Exit is A Woman Entrepreneur's Guide to Business Transition. When I did the research, I couldn't find any books that were ever written just for women when it came to business exit strategy. And I decided it was time. And so it's not a very big book. It's short, and there's a checklist after each chapter.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I think that it's a good tool to help women just to think about it and to start preparing. So thanks for asking.
Yes, absolutely. Now, what I heard from you is you said that, if I heard you right, pain points. So you went through divorce, you went through some hard things, and that is what catapults you into what you're doing now that you enjoy doing. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So it's like, and so you're helping people get through the process that you did not, weren't happy going through.
Yeah, there was so much about the exit process that I had no idea. I didn't know that there was a process. I didn't know how important it is to have the right advisors, where so many business owners think that they have the right advisory, but when it comes to probably the biggest financial transaction of their life in selling a business,
Right.
they may not have the right advisors. And I could have done better, but I didn't know any better.
Right.
So, we made it through. We made a sale, but could it have gone better? Could I have gotten more money? Could I have had, a better outcome for myself after the fact? And the answer is yes for all those.
What are the top maybe like three mistakes that people make that are exiting out of business?
hmm Well, a lot of times I think business owners wait too long to start the process because they think that it's a short process and that they can do a lot of it themselves. And, maybe for a real small business, like a lifestyle business, you could do a lot of that yourself with the help of your accountant and your attorney. But if you're talking about a lower middle market company, say somewhere between 10 million a year in sales, upwards of 100 million, you really have to have a good team of advisors to help you with all those components. And that's whether you're going to sell it internally to management or family, or you're going to sell it externally to a strategic buyer, or some derivative of that. There's a lot of options for exit. We won't go into that today, but
Yeah.
it's complicated, and it can be time consuming too.
So what about the emotion side and exiting a business? Um, how can they transition out of being emotionally attached to something you've been putting everything into, and then having to make the wise decision, okay, this is not working, we need to exit. I
Yes.
mean, how do you transition in that?
Well, that's a good question too. And I would have to say that, when you ask for the top three, that would be one of them. So the owner waits too long, or owners wait too long to start the process and understand it.
Mhm.
They get emotionally attached to their business, so it's difficult for them to think about what life would be like without it.
Right.
Okay. And that's for women and men, but probably more for men. Women have different situations that they're dealing with, and we won't go into that, but it's in my book. So emotionally attached, don't have a next act planned, which is why they resist transitioning. And then they don't have the right advisors to help them along the way. Okay.
Right.
And so that whole emotional component of next act planning, like, what is my life without my business? How will I remain relevant and productive? What am I going to do with my time? You know,
Right.
that's a big fear. Another big fear is letting go of the lifestyle. I mean, let's face it, when you own a business, you generally have a pretty good lifestyle.
Yeah.
If your business is a lifestyle business, then chances are good that it's probably not transferable.
Right.
A lifestyle business basically means that you own a business that pretty much goes away if you go away. Okay, supports a nice lifestyle, but you really haven't built an asset that's transferable because it's so dependent upon you. Doesn't
Hmm.
mean that you can't, make it, that it isn't dependent upon you, like to delegate and bring in leadership and grow it, so that it could be an asset to sell. Um, but there's so many different things to consider. Um, I think that fear of loss, and losing control, losing lifestyle, losing relevancy, those are some of the reasons why owners resist the planning process.
Wow. Wow. So that would be the top three, you think, too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
when it comes to why owners resist, those would be the top reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Myself
Uh,
included. I mean, I understand. I lived through it. So
yeah, the process, even with COVID, many businesses have had to exit, or they have to shut down just because of the transition. How have you been able to help maybe a company that thought they would have to exit and just not have anything, but maybe because of your strategy, they saw a different way they can maybe sell their company and gain more income based on, what you've advised them to do, just by looking at different ways?
I can't say that I have done any turnarounds. I
Mhm.
think that might be what you're referring to, but there are companies who have been able to turn around and pivot, if you will. Which, what does that look like? Well, some of them had to change their business model. Have I had clients who've altered their business models? Yes, I think all of us have had to.
Mhm.
Some of them more than others. But I think that if you can think about the possibilities of what is next for your business, instead of feeling like you're stuck and you can't go anywhere or do anything with it,
Right.
that's really the case. If the latter is really the case, then that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you're done as an entrepreneur. I mean, think about all the people over the years who've owned businesses and failed miserably numerous times before they actually hit a home run, you know?
Exactly. Yes.
So just because, one effort or whatever, maybe it's your third, maybe that doesn't work out, doesn't mean you can't try again. Think of everything that you've learned, to bring you to that point. And then, of course, we hope that we don't have to repeat those bad lessons, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we hopefully we don't, but sometimes, and I've heard many entrepreneurs say they failed and they failed and they failed, and then boom, it was a yes, and everything exploded. So,
Yes.
so that's it's powerful to hear that. And a lot of times people don't share as much as of the bad stuff because they only want to tell about, oh, look where
Right.
I am now. But have you noticed, or I guess after the fact, have you communicated with some of the people you helped? Have they have a lot, some of them transitioned to better places, or have you seen experience where it's happened for them?
Yeah, most of the businesses that I work with, for some reason right now, and this isn't always the case, but for right now, most of my business clients are um, working through an internal transfer. Okay. So when we talk about exit planning, exit is a form of transition. So I just want to make that clear. There are different ways that you can transition as a business owner. You can buy out a partner. Your partner can buy you out. You can sell some of your stock to a family member or a management team and stay on. You can sell to a private equity group. There's a lot of different types of transition. You could even merge with a company. That's a form of transition. And then exit, like you just sell and you get out. That's another form, right? And so what I've witnessed and what I've helped with is helping my clients to think about what their options are aside from what they think they
Right.
need to do. And it hasn't necessarily been pandemic related, although making sure that they stay focused and motivated and in good communication with their teams has been essential. Because if a lot of people are working from home and they used to be in the office, communication breakdown is a real thing.
Mhm.
And that has caused, a lot of stress and anxiety and, and assumptions and, you know what I mean? Just, how it is when communication breaks down, regardless if it's a personal relationship or professional relationship. And so what
Mhm.
I've tried to do is just, help them think of strategies and ways and, regularly scheduled events, regardless of what kind of meeting it is, but just to keep people engaged. And then with a couple of my clients who were planning on transitioning to a family member, learned during that time that the family member they were planning to transition to was really not qualified.
Wow. So
Yeah.
what happens when something like that happens?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a good thing for it to happen before, the transition takes place
Mhm.
officially. It's tough for the parents to realize that, like, I'm just thinking of one instance, the husband and wife team that owned a business for 29 or 30 years, and their son's been in the business for probably 10 years, and they were planning on transitioning to him over the next 2 or 3 years, and they've been practicing and taking more time off, and he's been taking over. But I
Mhm.
had a meeting with him not too long before the pandemic hit, and I just said, I want you to be honest with me and tell me if you can see yourself running this business without your mom and dad here. And he got all quiet, and then he finally just said, no, I really don't see myself doing that. He goes, I'm not interested in it really. They want it for me, but I don't really want it. He goes, I just want to stay in charge of marketing. He goes, that's what I love. That's what I went to school for. And I don't really like managing people. So,
Wow.
yeah, so that was tough news for me to deliver to his mom and dad because he wanted me to do it. I'm fine doing that, and it was really tough for them. They had to think about that, and they I don't know if they were thinking that I fed that, like maybe I don't know how would you say that? Like I coerced him or something into saying that, but I didn't. He was just
Right.
speaking from the heart. And then they got honest with me after that and said, we've kind of thought deep down that maybe he's not cut out for this, but you guys really clarified it, and we're all going to be just happier, and the company's going to be in better hands without him leading. We'll just bring in someone else from the outside.
Well, hey, it could help overall everybody.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's an
Yeah.
option. Bring in a non-family member to run a business, and sometimes that's the smartest thing to do.
It is, and that was strong of the young man to say, hey, this is not really what I want. Because
Right.
a lot of times we're in business and you want to impress or you want to make somebody else happy, but you're not making yourself happy, So that's something else to look at. I mean, that's a kind of heart to heart thing,
Mhm.
to dig deep and say, are you doing what you really want to do?
Right.
And are you fulfilling that calling that you have, and I get we have to create wealth, we have to make money to pay bills, but at the same time, if you have a choice, if you can make a choice, then be truthful to yourself.
Exactly.
um, that's awesome. I mean, that's awesome that you were able to do that.
Mhm.
And you said you people going through divorces, and things like that. That's huge. I know that's totally emotional, and I can imagine, the emotions going. through that situation, having to balance that out. How do you balance something out when people are emotionally going through something where they're disagreeing on another level,
Yeah.
uh, how,
It's good that you asked that question. There's a distinction in exit planning called the 5 Ds that many business owners will suffer from at one point in their business life cycle. And they are divorce is one of them, death, disability, where someone gets sick and can't work. We're talking about owners here, not necessarily employees, but it can be employees, especially if they're key employees. Disagreement is another one. And that would be, say, for instance, partners that don't get along. That I see that all the time. And it is a business derailer when partners don't get along. And then the last one would be disaster, which pretty much everybody just lived through, with the pandemic. That would be a form of disaster. Cyber attacks are another form of disaster that can take your business down. And so one of the things I do as an exit planner then is to help mitigate the risk that those can bring to a business, aside from other areas of risk. Okay. Disagreement would be one. I haven't been through the divorce situation with a client before, but I just recently was with a client through disagreement. It took us 3 years to get his partner paid off, 2.5 years to get his partner to agree to actually leave the business, because he had it good. He was coming and going as he pleased. He wasn't really doing what he had agreed to do, but he was taking half the profit and taking his normal salary and everything else. So that was a painful process for my client. And one of the things that was missing, okay, that caused all of this pain and suffering that could have been prevented, was a buy-sell agreement. Okay, a buy-sell agreement or shareholder agreement that was not, it wasn't explicit enough. It was too general. And so if there would have been language in there that would have addressed, okay, what happens if the partner wants to buy you out because things aren't going well, right? Okay, so kind of like a partnership divorce. That kind of language needs to be in a buy-sell agreement, along with many other clauses, right? And that's all done by your attorney. I'm not an attorney,
right.
but you got to have it. That's just an example.
Pre connection to partnership. You're saying before you even start the partnership. That's what I was going to ask you. In a partnership, there are things that need to be set in place, correct? I was just going to ask you that. So that was perfect.
That's one of the most important.
And what is that again?
It's called a buy-sell agreement or a shareholder agreement. Yes. Okay. Whenever there's more than one owner in a business, you really have to have a document like that for a lot of reasons, not just if two partners aren't getting along, but what if one of them dies? Do you really want to go into business with that deceased partner's spouse?
Exactly.
No. Yeah. So you have to figure out legally in a document what happens to that owner's stock.
That's good. It's good things to think about. Everything you're telling us, this will help you confidently lead, ladies. So make sure you're doing these things. If you're going to partner with somebody, just with anything, in any type of business connection. I consider business partnership like a marriage. So when you in business with someone, and I've been through business where it did not work out, and sometimes you can be left with the heavy weight to carry, so definitely that's something to look into. Now, how can, and we'll conclude with this, how can the audience get connected with you if this is something that they need for themselves?
Sure. When it comes to transition planning or business strategy, growth and improvement strategy, I do all of those things. And I think if you just went to the Poised for Exit website, that would probably be the best way for you to see. You can listen to episodes of my podcast. There's lots of different episodes that apply to business ownership on the show, primarily focused on exit planning, but not all of them. And then the book, you can get the book. It's poisedforexit.com. And I have another website called keystrategies.com. And that's my consulting website. And both of those websites have resources that you can download that are free. So take advantage of everything that you can find on both of those websites to help you get going.
Thank you. And you're also giving them a free gift that will be in this in your emails, ladies. So
Yeah,
thank you for that. And
absolutely.
what is it that you're giving them in
Well,
there?
actually, it won't be in the email. If they go to my website, they can click on select a 30-minute consult, complimentary consult. So just, select that you want me to, get in touch with you and schedule a 30-minute consult. And I'll get you on my calendar and we'll meet and we'll talk about what you have going on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Julie, I didn't ask you this, and I did say this was my last question, but this is my last question. If you could advise the top three books that you look at in business and running your business, what are the top three books you would take and say they would need to read?
Well, there's one that I've read and reread, and that one is called It's Your Turn by Seth Godin. It's an amazing book. It's an amazing book. And there's lots of pictures, so it's entertaining. And I have a lot of respect for Seth. So Seth Godin, It's Your Turn. And I would recommend that you read Poised for Exit, because even if you're not planning to sell your business, there is a ton of information in there that is worth so much money on helping you set up right and make some really good choices now, so that when the time comes for you to exit, you've got a lot of things already kind of figured out. And then it's not so overwhelming and costly. And then I think that the third book, gosh, there's so many books that I've read. For
Absolutely.
those of you who are out there and own family businesses, I would read a book called Family Business Governance. And honestly, I don't remember the author, but I have bought it numerous times for many, many clients. And it's just a short paperback, but boy, it's just packed with information. So I'm a nonfiction reader. Everything I read is pretty much just, motivational, spiritual, or self-help and business stuff, So those are my top. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie, for being a part of this series.
Thank you for having me, Kristen. Thank you for your energy and for what you're doing for women entrepreneurs. It's so inspiring. So
Thank
yeah, thank you so much.
Ladies, get in touch with Julie. You need her, and check out the website. We'll put everything below. Have a blessed day.
Thanks, everyone.